keeping with the example from above, if we can afford a $2,800 a month house payment, that's based on 28% of our $10,000 a month income. Given this assumption of a 4.25% interest rate and a 30-year term, we could get a loan for about $560,000, putting some cash down, and we could actually buy that house that was pictured above. Those 4 pictures are all of the same house. So if we did that, we would have a payment of $2,754.86, as you can see right here. The interest total for the entire life of the loan, in this case, is going to be significantly bigger because the loan was larger than we saw before. And it sums up to $431,750.82. That is a lot of money to pay for interest. That's the cost of not having money, is what that is. But is there a way to avoid paying that much interest? And obviously, if you paid cash for the house or put a larger down payment down, you would avoid paying so much interest. However, most people, when they come at this, they look at it and they say, okay, I can afford $2,800 a month. Let's see what I can buy for that much. Here's the thing. If you do that, then you are going to fall into the trap and you won't be able to avoid paying this much interest. What if instead of buying a house that cost us $2,800 a month, we set our sights a little bit lower and perhaps bought a house that was a little bit smaller, didn't have a pool if we don't really need a pool, just looked at what we needed a house for, not what we could actually afford. And let's say that we bought a house for $160,000 less. That would lower our payment down to $1,967, as you can see right here. Now keep in mind, that's $800 less than we can actually afford. So I'm not going to tell you that you can go buy a boat or a motorcycle or whatever with that money. What I am going to say is that if you paid extra on your loan every month, you would see some significant benefits for that. And the way this spreadsheet is set up, all I have to do is come over here and put in a different payment. That will be reflected below. Okay, so first off, let's look at it with the original payment. The interest is still a significant number, pretty big number. It's $308,000. That's a little bit less than previously, but it's still $308,000. But what if instead of paying what we are required to pay, what if we actually pay what we can afford? What happens then? So we can afford $2,800. Bring this down here, sum up how much interest we pay. And as you can see, the total interest paid comes up to $158,000. That's a pretty big savings. That's about $150,000 of savings in interest. And we save that money just by paying what we can afford. But the really good part is why this right here goes from black to red. From black to red. The reason is because the loan is going from money, let me rephrase that. We paid the loan off. So our mortgage was paid off in the 200th month, or about the 16 and a half year. So we paid it off nearly halfway through. What this means is if you were to buy this house when you were, say, 30, you would have it paid off by the time you were 47 years old. You wouldn't have a mortgage. And what that means going forward, from this point forward, right here forward, you no longer have a house payment. You no longer have a $2,800 obligation to anybody. You own the house outright. And all of that benefit, paying your house off in almost half as much time, saving up over $100,000 in interest, all of that is because when it came down to crunch time, you bought less than you could afford, but you still paid what you can afford. This is how you avoid paying so much interest. It's very difficult because we are built to think that if we can afford something, then we deserve to have something. Yes, you do deserve to have a very nice house if you make $10,000 a month. Absolutely. But along with that, do you deserve to pay 300 something thousand dollars in interest or whatever it was? That's up to you. That's your call. From many people's points of view, they would rather pay that interest and have the nicer house. However, with these financial tools that you've got, based on what you learned in this class, you can actually calculate that out and you can see how much money you would save if you were to just pay what you can afford, as we did in this case.